So the story I often tell is when I lived in San Francisco, and this was a while back, before I started touring pretty heavily. But there was San Francisco, as you might be aware, as a city without a Krispy Kreme, and I even checked recently because I wanted to make sure they hadn't opened one up.
Yeah,
There's
your
no
book's
Krispy
out of
Kreme
date.
in
You're gonna
San
have to pull it
Francisco.
off the shelves because this is Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, yeah, no, I had to make sure like I was writing factual stuff, when I'm writing it. So there's no Krispy Kreme in San Francisco, and a lot of people refer to San Francisco as they talk about the whole Bay Area, but I talk specifically about the city. I didn't pay ridiculous rent for nothing. You know what I mean? I identify with the city, not the Bay Area. So I'm living in the middle of the city. The closest San Francisco to where I was living was about 45 minutes south on the freeway. And now I love Krispy Kreme donuts, but I'm not willing to do a 90-minute round trip just to get them. I do have my limitations for my urges. But if I found myself driving down a highway for some other reason, then I would think of it as, oh, that's an opportunity for me to also get some donuts. I'm going down that highway anyway, I might as well get some donuts. Now, after living there for a period of time, my brain started to realize that this was the case and started to automatically associate driving down that highway with the opportunity to get donuts, whether I was hungry or not, whether I was interested in getting them or not. Every time I would find myself driving down, I think it was the 280 highway from San Francisco, I would suddenly have the urge to get Krispy Kreme. And of course, I would start to see the billboards. I would start to see the other markings, the next exit Krispy Kreme, that kind of stuff, and that would all intensify the urge. And in my head would carry out a little bit of a conversation. And this conversation doesn't actually occur in the way it is presented, but I think it's metaphorical. It's sort of if you can think about my nucleus accumbens and my prefrontal cortex talking to each other. My prefrontal cortex says, well, my nucleus accumbens says, hey, we can get some Krispy Kreme. This is a great opportunity to get some Krispy Kreme. Do we know this highway? This is where Krispy Kreme is. Let's get some Krispy Kreme. I suddenly have a strong urge to get some Krispy Kreme. My prefrontal cortex steps in and says, hey, wait a minute. I know I have a urge to get Krispy Kreme. I know this is an opportunity to make my life better, and at least in the short term. But I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to manage my behavior, and donuts aren't really consistent with that. So I'm not going to get donuts. And my nucleus accumbens is still presenting that urge to my brain. It's still saying, come on, okay, tell you what, we don't have to get donuts. They got good coffee. We could get good coffee. We were going to get coffee anyway. Let's stop and get some coffee. And my prefrontal cortex will answer back and say, now, we're not just going to get coffee. All right. Quit trying to trick me. You're gonna get me in the store for with the under the guise that I'm gonna get coffee, and then of course I'm gonna be exposed to the donuts, and I'm gonna succumb to my craving, and so there's this whole conversation going on, this argument, if you will, between my conscious desire to not get donuts and my unconscious craving or urge to get some donuts. And that whole conversation sort of comes to an end when I realize I just parked my car in their parking lot. I had like, and this is actually this story is based on a real instance in my life. I remember sitting there in the parking lot and thinking to myself, I have really no recollection of getting off on a highway and steering my car into this parking lot. I've been acting completely out of habit while I've been thinking about I don't want to get donuts. And so here I am in the car in the parking lot. And I caught myself actually in that moment. I did. I was like, okay, this is crazy. I'm not going to get donuts. I don't want to get donuts. And so I put my car back in reverse and I got back on the highway, and I did not get the donuts that day. Actually, I got them on the way back. And they were delicious too, let me tell you. But no, it's interesting to me because what this story illustrates and what this not a little bit of knowledge of the underlying structures, the nucleus accumbens and the prefrontal cortex, what this helps people understand, I think, is that our behavior, even my phone is dinging. I apologize if that's getting picked up on your on your audio. Let me shut it off real quick. There we go. You can always edit that or not, doesn't matter. But what I think is really interesting about this situation is that very often we engage in behavior that is contradictory to what our expressed intent might be. I want to lose weight, but then I eat donuts. I want to exercise more, but then I come home and I sit on the couch and watch TV for 6 hours. We all have these expressed desires, these expressed goals and objectives, and then we end up either not doing them or doing something that's contradictory to those goals. And a little bit of understanding about how the brain works and how we have these different mechanisms that are steering our behavior in different ways. One of them, of course, is based on conscious, rational thought, and the other one is much more, I don't want to use the word instinctive because that implies that we were born with it, but much more ingrained rooted in deep areas of our brain, because those are lessons that those are real basic lessons, and those are basic lessons that we learned at a very early point in our life. Probably before we even had the ability to form conscious thoughts. I probably learned how to appreciate sugar long before I learned how to put together a sentence.
Yeah.
These are I don't know. I don't like to describe them as forces, but they are kind of like oppositional objectives that our brain may have. Unfortunately, our unconscious mechanisms don't have the ability to see very far into the future. And so when we're talking about our long-term objectives, like I want to live to be there for my daughter when she turns 30 or whatever, my nucleus accumbens is I may appreciate that. My nucleus accumbens just knows that if I see an opportunity to eat some donuts, I'm going to feel that urge, and that's a hard thing to wrestle with what the desire to live longer for my daughter.